Yagi moving inland over Vietnam on tonight's tropical weather bulletin. Tropical weather bulletin for September 8th. On the map of world tropics, we have one storm active, that is Tropical Storm Yagi, weakening as it moves over Vietnam after making a very powerful Category 4 landfall around 2 a.m. EST this morning. Here is the Western Pacific. We are using different satellite. You can see Yagi off to the left. And what the JTWC no longer has marked is the remnants of Invest 95W by them. We still have it at a 50% chance of formation. Here is the Atlantic with three areas of interest, all with decent chances of formation. Invest 91L in particular, likely to become a tropical storm within the next 24 hours. Invest 92L in the middle there, also likely to become a tropical storm. And Disturbance 3, which NHC does have marked, they don't have an invest name yet, but that also has a solid chance of forming. Here is the Eastern Pacific. You can see off to the very bottom right there, Eastern Pacific Disturbance 1, and on the left, you can see Central Pacific Disturbance 1. Both of them have 30% chances of formation. Here is the North Indian Ocean. We have Invest 92B currently, which has a 60% chance of formation, possibly even higher already. On this day, last year in 2023, Hurricane Lee was reaching an incredibly powerful Category 5 peak with winds of 165 miles per hour and a pressure of 921 millibars. Hurricane Hova was on its way out as a Category 3 after making its extremely powerful Category 5 peak. Mario was just forming, that would go on to peak as a Category 1. And Yun Young was dying off near Japan. Here are the names. In the Atlantic, we could be seeing all Francine, Gordon, and Helene soon. In the Eastern Pacific, it is Ileana, followed by John. And in the Central Pacific, Iona, potentially. In the Western Pacific, it is looking likely that we will get Babinka soon. In the North Indian Ocean, it's also likely that we will get Dana soon. Let's move on to the satellite imagery in the GFS. Here is Yagi on the satellite imagery, looking very poor, as you can see. It's just a broad, disorganized mess at this point. You would expect that, though. It is a very weak storm. It's probably only around 50 miles per hour right now. JWC still going with the 85 mile an hour Cat 1 on that. I just don't see how that would be possible. The convection of the storm is nearly gone. And it's starting to lose its rotation a little bit too. The structure of the storm is degrading. I have not checked the cloud tops yet, so I don't know how those look. I know they were not doing very well after it made its landfall in Hainan, which was a very devastating landfall, but we'll talk more on that later. Here is all three of our Atlantic area of interests on satellite. It's basically the entire Atlantic basin here. 91L is about halfway over Mexico, but the eye is still, well, quote unquote, the eye. The center of it is still over water. 92L there has been blowing up some convection in the past few hours. And Disturbance 3, all the way on the far right, looks like it has also been blowing up some convection. All three of these storms have been blowing up convection. And the structure of the storms, especially with 91L, has really improved. Look how ragged 91L looked at the beginning of these frames, and look how good it looks at the end. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this, specifically 91L, named within the next 24 hours. It's very likely at this point. The other two, I'd say probably within the next 2 to 3 days. We would expect them to be named. Here is the GFS. You can see Yagi right here over Vietnam, dissipating very soon after. That's actually, I believe, the remnants of MS 94W right there. That's 95 right there, becoming a typhoon. I've seen the past couple of days of GFS calling for a strong typhoon. That, if I could actually see the pressure, I could tell you, but that's 966 millibars, maybe a Category 2. Then an absolutely enormous typhoon right there. Looks like maybe Category 2 status. Another storm there. That's rivaling Typhoon Tip's size, which is remarkable. Another massive typhoon there. So two storms that are comparable to Typhoon Tip in terms of size, which is saying a lot considering that Tip was the largest tropical cyclone ever. If you didn't know, its size was approximately half the United States. Here is the Atlantic. You can see all three of the invests here. There is 91L, 92L, and then 3 right there. So 91L there looks like it's maybe a tropical storm. A tropical storm there peaking at 989 millibars, so it's a high-end tropical storm. Look at 92L there. Hurricane looks like possibly Category 3 status, 960 millibars, probably Category 3. Then disturbance 3 back there forming. Looks like it may reach hurricane intensity, and 92 right there peaking. That's hurricane intensity from disturbance 3, 971. That's a Category 1, likely at that latitude, high in Category 1. And then 92L peaking is what looks like a Category 3. North Indian Ocean, there's 92B. It's kind of hard to miss. But there it is. Looks like it does become a tropical cyclone soon, making landfall in, I believe that's Odisha. Slightly weaker. They're calling a peak of 988 millibars, which in the North Indian Ocean is like a moderate tropical storm because the North Indian Ocean pressure is weird. And making landfall at 991 millibars. Looks like it's just sitting over India there at that point, probably dropping enormous amounts of rainfall. Looks like it dissipates too. And I'm trying to see what happens with Yagi here. Looks like its remnants get pulled north up into China and Mongolia. And that's what happened with Doksuri last year. So we can actually see the pressure fixes for that Atlantic storm right there. It's a 989 millibar peak, 990 millibar landfall, so basically a peak landfall. And that looks like maybe a tropical storm there, 997 millibars, possibly a low end to mid range tropical storm there. That looks like maybe the only thing that happens here for a while, possibly. Looks like that central. I didn't actually check Central Pacific. I forgot they're separated on here, which I do not do on the cards because I'm not weird. But there's that other tropical cyclone. Well, not tropical cyclone. It's not even a tropical cyclone yet. But there it is. Looks like it does not form. It looks like it gets close at one point, though. It's got. Actually, currently looks like it has a little bit of a circulation with maybe a little bit of a center there. So, does not look like that actually forms. So, on the satellite imagery, I don't know why Yagi's not on here. Oh, right, the JWC has that listed as a remnant low. Let's just take a look at 91L, because that's the biggest threat other than Yagi right now. First off, enormous cloud tops there, up into the mid-minus 90s. A very well-defined structure. It is possible that this is already a tropical depression. Granted, it is a low chance, but it is possible that this is already a tropical depression. I have not seen the 8 p.m. NHC advisory yet. They haven't released it publicly. So they could have labeled this as Tropical Depression 6. I don't know. But very high cloud tops. This would be a... I don't know. This year has been weird with the storms. It's quality over quantity, if you'd say that. Like, we're not getting a lot of storms, but when we do, we get really, 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 really strong ones. Like, within a 1 month period, we got Beryl, Gamey, and Gilma. Then in August, we got Shan, if you want to count Yagi. A lot of strong storms recently. I'll say that. I don't want to ramble on in circles. But the cloud tops are very, very high in this. Looks like a 92L. We will, if I can find an infrared imagery of Yagi, I will show you. Yeah, I don't think we're getting any Yagi imagery here. It is possibly still tropical. It does have it does have a center. It does have a rotation. Granted, not a very great rotation, but it does. So I do believe it's still tropical. Here's 92L. You can see the convection blowing up there. Cloud tops aren't amazing. The highest cloud tops are recently there. Look like barely reaching up to minus 80. degrees there, or minus 79. I don't know if that's minus 79 or minus 80. But cloud tops are okay. They're not incredible, but they're not terrible either. Like I said, this has a decent shot of formation. I do not know where the center is. I'm going to go ahead and take a wild guess. It's probably not there. I believe the center is right somewhere around here-ish. But the storm doesn't look bad. I'll say that. But that's going to be it for tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. This is probably the last mention of Yagi we will ever have. We might have a short update. I don't know. But this is probably the last mention of Yagi, which was a historic storm. But you can expect a track video. But until then, like, subscribe. Goodbye.